mean to be a hybrid photographer. So we'll kind of start covering the basics on what it actually means. And I know it's kind of like uh, it's a buzzword right now. Like everybody is is kind of buying into the hybrid movement. I've been shooting hybrid for about a year and a half. No, I'm sorry, about 2 years now. Actually started with Kirk introducing me to the method. Kirk Mastin actually shot my wife and I's 10-year vow renewal. Little trivia quiz for you guys there. That's how I met him. And I've always loved film, but I've never shot it for a client or on a wedding day. And he really introduced me how it was actually possible to do it. Once he showed me it was possible, and I wholeheartedly bought into it, and this is what I do with my clients. But here's kind of what it means to be a hybrid photographer. For me. So I use the best medium that gets the best results for my clients. So which means there are weddings that just not conducive to using film, and there are weddings I'll shoot 100% digital. There are weddings I'll shoot more film than the others. For example, I just shot a wedding where it was just super rushed timeline, and daylight savings times now, and we're just losing light, and our scheduled portrait time went about 30 minutes behind schedule, so I lost a lot of light. And by the time we were going to shoot, Fuji 400 is just not gonna cut it anymore. Because I read it at 100, and it's just not gonna. There's just not enough light left. So I switched 100% to digital for my portraits, and everything turned out fine. So I'm not. Although I love the look of film, I also understand for my clients, they expect certain kind of product from at the end of the day, they expect good portraits, well exposed, and sometimes film is just limited if you don't have the ideal timeline. And I have no problem switching to digital. So the next one is, so we kind of covered my point number 2 as well. There are definitely advantages and disadvantages for both digital and film. So you kind of have to pick the one that works the best for you at a given moment. So now here, and this is kind of one of the questions that we, wait, you guys can't hear me, Megan? Can everybody hear me? Okay, most people can hear me. Yeah, you have to turn the mic on. Yeah, turn the mic on, Megan. All right, so you have to have a thorough understanding of film stocks and metering and all that. And the reason why is in the groups I noticed there's sometimes a lot of frustration from, especially from new photographers or just photographers that don't shoot film, that they cannot get the look that they want. And a lot of times it has to do with just they don't understand what the look is. In order to get the film, if you want your digital look at film, you have to know what film looks like. And the only way to do that is either through a lot of research or actually shoot film. I would say, and this is, I'm not seriously, not exaggerating. I would say 99% of the time when people are saying that they don't get the result they want, it has to do with the way the picture was shot in camera. And that also has to do with just not understanding what is the best light or the ground reflection, skin tone, white balance, a lot of very basic photography understanding that you have to have in order to get a true film look. Film is definitely a little harder to understand than digital, because digital you can see it right away, and film you usually don't get it until I don't know, like 9 days later, or a week and a half later, and by the time it rolls around, you've forgotten a lot of settings. So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, so here's the kind of overall view of the gear that I use. For Canon, I travel really, really, really light. I don't carry a lot of gear with me, and most of the time I'm shooting just with my 50mm 1.2 lens. So for my digital cameras, I have a 5D Mark III, and the 50mm f1.2 is my absolute favorite lens. I do, gosh, maybe a 90-95% of my portraits with that lens, and the only time we'll bust out something different is 2470 when I'm doing maybe bridal party, or like I really want to take a large scenic shot, and I'll take out 24-70. But most of the time, I'm on my 50 millimeter f1.6 all the time. Okay. Wow, we have people from Ireland, England, Oregon, Canada, Italy. Wow, hello. Thanks you guys. So film camera. Okay, so I started like everybody else. I started with the contacts, and it's just because that's what Jose Villa used. I mean, let's be honest. So I started with contacts, and I noticed, started to notice that the camera, there's quite a few problems with the camera. It's just a very delicate camera, and at least for me, it just wasn't as reliable for the, I paid $3,500 for the set, and if I'm paying $3,500 for a camera, I want it to work. And sometimes it's just very finicky. It will not fire, and it just have quite a few issues with it. So so I ended up switching to a Pentax, and now I switched to a Mamiya 645. I love the new Mamiya, and I shoot it on the 80 millimeter f1.9 lens. And I still bust out a Pentax once in a while, mainly for the autofocus on the 75 millimeter 2.8. It's I use that when my client's walking towards me, or recessional or something. It's just easier to focus. All right. Where's Spartanburg? Okay. All right. So here's the gear. Just a few photos. Just in case you don't know what it looks like. So the Mamiya 645 on top, and Pentax on the bottom. All right, and here are my 3 favorite film stocks. So Fuji 400. So if you haven't noticed, I shoot mainly Asian clients. It's because I'm Irish. No, just kidding. Because I just shoot a lot of Asian clients, and then and I've done tests on this. Yeah, Miriam, the 15 millimeter is shot at f1.6. Okay, Fuji 400. So that's my go-to film stock, and I rate it at 100. Fuji 400 is a very light-hungry film, meaning it needs a lot of light. So I rate it at 100, and I rate it with bulb in, facing me, facing away from the subject. So essentially, I'm overexposing my 3 stops every time I shoot it. So, and if I'm shooting backlight, I overexpose by another stop. So it's a very light hungry film. You almost cannot screw that up if you just overexpose it. Portra 800, I usually use it for outdoor reception. When I need that extra few stops in light, I rate it at 640 instead of 100. So as you can imagine, that'll give me a lot more light. EOS 3200 is my absolute favorite black and white film. I use that for both indoor and outdoor. It's definitely grainy, but you just have to learn to embrace the grain. I love it. I rate it at 1600. So now, why is this important? Because when I am editing, I try to edit like what I would do in a real life situation. So let's say if I'm editing something that's at dusk, I'm losing light, I won't apply Fuji 400 to it. I'll apply Portra 800, because I know in a real life situation, that's the film stock that I would use. And yes, for group photo, I use 24-70 2.8. So guys, I'm reading your questions at the same time I'm talking. So there's sometimes I would just kind of cut in whatever I see on the side, on the side chat box. Okay, but either way, so these are the 3 film stocks I use, and then when I edit, you'll see why this becomes important, because again, I edit according to the film stock that I would have shot had I shot film in a real life situation. All right, and here's the lab I use, the Fine Lab. It will take you a few weddings, some even 10 weddings, to get your exact look dialed in. Okay, and if you're not happy, really just call them. They're really open to customer feedback. Belinda Olson is the lab manager. She's awesome. If you have any questions, give her a call. She'll be more than happy to take care of it. Okay. Yes, if you have a question, please ask with the question mark on the left. I'll get back to it at the end. Thanks, Jessica. And here, if you use the FineLab, those are my exact settings, or my preference, I should say, not settings. Those are my preferences on the bottom. So I usually scan for warmer color, exposure brighter, and then contrast neutral. And my notes, peachy skin tones, edit for skin tone. So basically, I don't care if the background color's off. Essentially, I want the skin tone to look peachy. So again, this took, I would say, about 10 weddings to get this all dialed in with the FineLab, and I do get premium scan. And the last point is asking your lab to scan like so and so, like the Josevias of the world, the Elizabeth Massinas of the world. It does not work unless you shoot and meter exactly at that person. It I don't know how else to say it, but just put it bluntly, if you shot it like crap in camera, it's not gonna look good. It doesn't matter how you scan it, and that's just the the truth for both film and digital. So, all right, but if you want those, that's on my exact preference when I submit my scans to the FineLab. Okay, so now we're gonna go into editing. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a few more photos here. So here are some examples of the just some of the images that I've shot with different medium. So again, what Mastin Lab has done for me is that it's given my work, and the words I like to use is unparalleled consistency. All my images look exactly the same. Doesn't matter what medium I use. I can use the picture on the left. It's a 5D Mark III, Fuji 400. And then the upper right, it's a Portra 800. That's actually shot on a 35 millimeter camera. Bottom right, shot on Pentax 645. So there's definitely cohesiveness to all my work, and one of the things I preach about is consistency with your work. It can be editing, it can be storytelling, it can be the mood, it can be the feeling that your images provoke, as long as it's consistent. And with Mastin Labs, along with the other just my photography style, it's definitely has provided me the consistency I've always been looking for. So so this is 5D Mark III on the left, on the bottom right, and on top right is Mamiya 645. All right, so great. So now we're gonna go into the wow, that's it's crazy. Okay, so let me stop. Hold on. I got all your questions. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna go through it at the end. I'm gonna go through my editing right now. So I have to open up my Lightroom here. Okay, here we go. So all right. So I've gone and just grabbed a few photos from all my weddings, and then I have kind of the digital and the film photo as a comparison. So one thing that I do just as part of my workflow is that when I get a film scan back from the FineLab, I color everything blue. So I give it, I never can see that. Hold on, let me go to library mode here, probably easier to see. So when I get it back from Fine, I automatically just apply, I grab all the film photo and apply blue to it, blue color. I do it for a few reasons. One of them is so I can very quickly, I can see which one is shot on film, and I use it as my anchor image. So there are times where I don't have an anchor image from a specific scene. Although as much as I try to do it, there are times I just either shot all digital or just I didn't shoot digital at all. So again, just go ahead and get in the habit of coloring your or labeling, however you want to do it, your film photos. It will make your editing a lot easier. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this few photos right here. So this first four photos were shot in the same room, same lighting condition, probably taken within 5-10 minutes of each other. So before going further, so none of this photos been touched at all. So you can see this is just I shot, everything is zeroed out. It's just straight out of camera. Okay. Um, so there was a question earlier in the group about in the events page about exposure, and it's also covered in my Mastin Labs user guide, which is free. You can download off of my website. Just Google Mastin Labs user guide, and it should be the first one to pop up. You don't want to overexpose with Mastin presets. By overexposing, I mean you don't want to blow out the details on the dress, and you don't even want to overexpose it by 1 or 2 stops, because the presets will look like it's bright. You look like it makes your picture a lot brighter when or more exposure added to it. But it's actually it just bring out the details in the it's lifting the details in the shadows. So that will make your picture look brighter. Hope that's making sense. But so you can always dial it back at the when you're editing. I'm kind of purist even when it comes to digital, where I just wanted it to, as close to perfect as I can in camera. So the trick is don't overexpose it more than 2/3 of a stop over what your meter is telling you. Okay, 2/3 of a stop for digital, and I do spot metering, and I meter for the shadows. So on this shot right here, I was basically looking for details in this area. See, I still have all the details retained right here. So that's what you want, especially on a bride's dress. I mean, that's what the bride's paying for, all those intricate details and all that. So you don't want to blow that out either. All right. So let's go and get started. Let me use this shot as my anchor right here. So there's a before. So if you haven't done this before, you go number 2 right here. Not number 2. So this is your split screen basically. Okay, so 1 and 2 right here. So you click on 2, and right here you go normal, and you go locked. Okay, so that will make that your lock screen. So now I can go back to this scene right here behind it, and I can go and do my editing here. Okay, so this one I shot it all on Fuji 400. So I'm going to apply my Mastin presets right here. So I'm going to apply Mastin presets, Mastin Labs Fuji Pro presets 400 neutral. So now there's a different tone profile here. So all hard, all soft, highlight hard, highlight soft. All this mimics the real Frontier scanner settings that you can get. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna go with all soft. Okay, so I don't want to go through the details right now because it's covered in my user guide. But if you go all hard, it's gonna bring back a lot of lost details in the highlight and in the shadows. So this shot right here, it's about, I don't know, 6 stops difference between the inside and the outside. It's just a very bright day. We're indoors. So I'll show you before and after again. Reset it. Okay. So oh, you know what? Before we do that, so when you get this image first, this is kind of my typical workflow. So first I adjust the exposure and white balance before I apply any presets to it. I try to get as close in camera as possible. The setting I love to use is 6000. That's kind of my base point of all my natural light, all my shots taken with natural light 6000. Okay, so that'll give you a pretty good starting point. So for this one, I probably bring back the exposure just a tad. As you can see, digital, you lose all the details outside. You just can't bring that back anymore. So I'll shoot maybe like if I go that far, you can see there's some details out there, but so I'm gonna bring it down about just a little bit. And here I'm gonna go back and apply 400 neutral, all soft. I'm gonna lens correction on, medium format grain. Okay, so as you can see, before and after, it's really not a lot of difference, but again, that's because I exposed it correctly in camera. I shot it at a custom white balance. It's all soft. Did I say all hard? Yeah, all soft. I'm sorry. Yeah, all soft. So once I do that, I'm gonna go back and open up this photo right here. That will be my anchor image. So because that'll give my color, my tones and everything. So all right. So again, this is taking the same exact light. It's just one's digital, one's film. This one's film, obviously. So So right now I'm gonna try to match this two. Okay, so you have to look at the colors first. So this is almost pure white, and it's got a kind of yellow undertone to it. It has to do with the carpeting. The carpeting on it's actually a kind of brownish carpet, so it's bouncing the light off. Is giving it like kind of you know a yellowish tint. So I'm gonna bring back the exposure down just a tad. I'm sorry, the white balance down just a tad, and I'm gonna bump the magenta just a little bit as well, and I'll push up the exposure just a little bit, and maybe just a little more tint. Let me see. Okay, so sorry, I'm gonna go quiet for a second because I'm trying to get the colors correct. Okay, maybe bump it just a tad on the exposure here. Okay, so just a bit. Okay. So as you can see, everything's very subtle. It's so I'm trying to match that white wall on. I'm trying to match the white on the wall behind them. Okay, use a little more green right there. So okay, so as you can see, everything is all very subtle, and so now you can see the carpet is different color in here. It just has to do with the dynamic range of the film that it's just retaining a lot more details in the shadows and also highlight. You can see here there is even you can even see the you can even see it some buildings across the street in film, and you can see all the details as retained even in the carpet. Okay, so that's why you're having the color differentiation between the two. So now if you want to get that look, you can come here, you can do shadow hard. That will kind of give you a little bit darker look, but I don't really like that, so I'm gonna go back to shadow to all soft again. So again, I edit for skin tone. So you're they're just colors. Again, you're dealing with two different mediums, and there's sometimes it's just not gonna be an exact 100% match, and and it's and that's okay because I think a lot of people that get really hung up on getting the 100% look like for the same exact photo, like this too. I'll probably just pick one and give it to the client, and they will never know the difference. Like you wouldn't give a client two pictures side by side that's exactly the same anyway. So I'll probably give it this two pictures to her. Okay, so again, this is before and after. Yeah, Donnie, thanks. Yeah, and you guys, please ask the questions on the left-hand side. There's the chat box. There's a question mark right under the chat box. Okay. So here's the before and after. All right, so now we're gonna do just a more detailed skin tone. So this bride was actually very tan. She was very tan to start with, and I think she actually got spray tan right before the wedding. So she's definitely very orange, and that's just kind of the skin tone is pretty orange compared to a film photo right here. So it just kind of straight out of camera. That's what it looks like. So again, we're gonna go through the same thing. So we're gonna neutral. Here's so apply font neutral, all soft, lens correction on, medium format grain. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys a trick I did over here. So after selecting all those items is select, so it's like 3-4 clicks, right? So I gotta get to all my settings here. I created my own custom user presets here, right? So I've Mastin Lab 2, the version 2, Canon, Fuji 400, all soft, medium format grain, all hard and all soft. So I'll show what it looks like. So I go in here and just click on that, and it gets me all the settings I just did in 3 clicks, in 1 click instead of 3-4 clicks. Okay, so that is a little takeaway from today if you want, and I'll show you even easier way to get the white balance correctly. So this is a little white balance dropper right here. Okay, so you're gonna click right here, white balance selector. You can also hit W to get that. So you're gonna pick somewhere on the picture, on the image that's white. Okay, I usually like to just get something that's a little neutral gray, which usually right under the bust area, like right here. See that's white and that's a little gray right here. So I usually pick right there, and you see how it neutralizes the color of the skin based on the neutral white. So I can also do the back wall. So it's just kind of if you haven't trained your eyes to look at what's the correct white balance is, just go and do this. Go and pick on different parts of the image until you get to the one you like. But usually you want to do it like right under the bust line here, right under, because there's always like a shadow right here. Okay, so right here I'm gonna bump it up just a tad more. You can see the skin tone shoots again very very tan for this photo. So I'm gonna turn down the white balance just a little bit, and turn on magenta just a little bit. Just a little more green tone come here to try to kill the orange undertone in her skin. Okay, so so right here you can go down here, and I know Kirk said do not touch this SLO panel. So but if you really want to touch it, like make sure you know what you're doing. So this one I probably just slide down orange just a tad right here, and also the red just a tad to get to even neutral out the skin tone just a tad more, and I'll go back bump it white balance. Okay, and then that is the final product I'll deliver to the client right here. Okay, and yes, you can do this basically with any white color in a photo or anything you want to become neutral white. It's the same as if you had somebody holding a gray card and just picking a gray card, when you're editing. It's on a wedding day, it's just not possible, or it's, at least for me, for the way I work, to have my clients hold a card and stand there while I take a photo and try to match it up later. It just just not something that I want to do. So I use that little dropper trick to get the color I want, and also just kind of training my eyes to see what pleasant skin tone looks like. Okay, so that's it. That's it with that one. So here's a kind of interesting shot. I really want to show you guys. So this was done. I shot a wedding in near Savannah, Georgia, and this was really green. I want to show you. This is a digital photo, so you can see that huge green cast that's coming down from the trees. This is a film photo, and this is digital. Okay, same light, same position. So I'll show you how to kind of get that as close as possible. So normally I'm gonna lock right here, and right here. Then you go to. So again, so I'm not gonna go through all the steps right here, but you know what I did. So you go to neutral, what if all hard or soft, and then go down there. Okay, so right now I'm just gonna go all the way down here first and just go all hard. I'm gonna create my own cheating presets here. So Fuji 400, Canon Fuji 400, all soft, medium format, grain. So okay, so right there you can see it's still very very green, right? And as you can see, when I had it scanned by the Fine Lab, they corrected my green overcast with a lot of magenta. Your magenta would kind of is like the opposite of green, would just kill that green cast. So I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna come right here. I'm gonna bring up the magenta just even more, and maybe kill the white balance. Just bring it down just a little bit and slightly underexpose. So somewhere in there. Okay. So again, if you, I keep trying to make this point. The client would never see these two images side by side. Okay, so for this one, I only send the client this photo right here, the film photo. I didn't send them this one, so they would never be able to tell the difference side by side. But if you're just trying to get a dead-on match, this one you almost have to go in, and this is only because how green it was. It's right in the forest and a lot of huge green cast. So you can go back here. You can play with the luminance. You can turn the green down just a tad. Saturation as well. You can desaturate the green just so it's not like neon green. But again, play with the white balance and the tint magenta first. So that will get you pretty close to what the final is. All right. Yeah, it's Fuji 400 neutral. So again, all the presets are down here on the left hand side. So Fuji Pro 400 neutral right here. Okay. Somebody asked the Fuji 160 NS. I don't shoot that film stock in real life, so I actually have never touched it. So I don't know enough about it. So that's probably a Kirk question. We'll ask that in the group. So now there's a question. Analia. yeah, if you don't shoot film, you can either grab, just go Google your favorite film photographer and kind of look at their work and pick something that's in kind of similar light, and try to use that as your anchor image. But again, try to shoot film. Just get it. Train your eyes to see what colors look like with film. Okay, so here's another one of the same wedding. This is they're staying in the same position, the same lighting. So I'm just gonna sync this and see what that looks like. Okay, so it might even need more magenta. So I'll bring even more magenta right here. So this is pretty much what I would, turn over to the client here. I'll show you. So lock right there. And so again, I'm gonna overexpose just a tad and bring even more magenta and try to kill that right there. So these are the two I'll turn. This is the image I'll turn over to the client. Okay. All right. So let's go to so my next one. It's kind of fun session I did. It's an indoor session. This was shot at for 3200. It's just all big natural window light coming from the camera, right? I think, yeah, it was rated at 1600. So I'm gonna try to match that black and white photo. Okay, so lock right here. So I'm gonna go to this black and white, this image right here, and go down here. Go to black and white Canon 3200. I'm gonna go all soft, lens correction on, and bump it up just a tad right here. So that's actually it. So this, black and white, because you're not matching colors, so it's a little easier to get. This one I probably can just, let's try shadow hard. Maybe that'll look a little closer. Right there, I'll do shadow hard, and I'll bump it up just a tad more. There you go. And yeah, there you go. So that's pretty much what I would turn over to the client. Just a tad more shadow right here. Okay. And exposure. Here you go. So yeah, so those are the that's the final product I would deliver to the client. Okay. So now the next one. So this one's gonna be pretty tough. This is probably one of the toughest matching job for a wedding that I've done for a while. It's a gorgeous mission here in California, San Juan Capistrano mission. If you guys have ever been there, it's brown dirt with basically brown walls. So it's a really weird kind of color cast that's bouncing back and forth in this area. But film handled it extremely well, and Fine Lab actually did an excellent job in the skin tone and just makes sure everything looks great in this photo. So this is actually what that wall looks like. It's basically bright orange. As you can see, her dress is pure white. So I got the correct white balance for the dress, but you can see everything's different. Everything's off in the back. So here I'm gonna do that and gonna go in. I'm gonna pick the dress again, just kind of in the gray area. See the back just changed. Okay, and you can do this by yourself if you train your eyes, but I'm just kind of showing you like a cheating way to do it. So I edit my film shots before you use them as anchor image for my matching digitals. Donnie, yes and no. So after I shoot a wedding, I do wait for my scans to come back before I do what I call a final edit. But I understand clients are excited to see the photos, so I will send them a digital preview as soon as I get back. Maybe like the same night. And that's that gets the buzz going, and that gets the client happy to see the photos right away. And I don't release a full blog post or full gallery until I get all the scans back. So hopefully that answers your question. So now I got the white balance correct. So I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do the Fuji 400 again, all soft right here. And as you can see, wait, I'm gonna shoot it up one more time. You see how it looks like it got brighter. So this photo is actually a little overexposed. You can see I'm losing a lot of details on her dress. So I'm gonna go back again, go Fuji 400 all soft. You see exposure didn't change. It just looks much brighter. So I'm going to bring that back down. Be right there. So you can start seeing all the details in the dress now. Okay. So I'm going to use this image as an anchor photo. Okay, and this is a real bride, by the way. She's actually a professional model, so lucky me. So right here, I can tell it's still quite warm compared to my film anchor image. So I'm gonna go back and dial that down even more to match the coolness of that photo that I got back from Find. So somewhere in there, and then bump it expose. Oh, too much. Somewhere right there. Okay. So this one, bump it exposure just a tad more. And that's it. So that's kind of what I'll turn over to my clients. Okay, so you can see huge difference before and after. Lucy, you press Y, or you can click right here. But if you press the button Y, that will just go to before and after side by side. Okay. Also, how you set up anchor photos. So, okay, so I'll do that one more time. So the anchor photo, you're gonna pick the anchor photo. You're gonna do this button right here, 2. But see, you're doing a split screen basically. So you just click on here, and this one, screen will pop up, and you want to lock that screen so that becomes your anchor image. So if you have dual monitor, you can actually drag this to another monitor as your anchor image. Okay. So now I'm just keep moving forward here. We're kind of running behind on schedule here. So I'm gonna kind of blast through all these images right here. You know what? Actually, I've done the natural stuff. I'm gonna do the indoor stuff right now. So so that's film photo. Right. Okay. Oh, you know what? I do want to show you the J trick real quick. Okay. So I know everybody keeps talking about it. So this is the before and after J trick. Okay. Bonnie, yes, I use mostly medium format grain. Yes. So I'm gonna reset and do it again. I don't really do the J trick that much, to be honest. I don't like the contrasty look. But you might like it, so feel free to do it. I prefer to keep my image pretty pure. So so this is the film scan I got back from the Fine Lab. So I bump it up just a tad right here. So basically the J trick is you just press J. So you see a histogram right here. So you're gonna see where I'm blacks right here. So you're gonna go left until you see some of the the blue that comes out. Then you're gonna go to the next one over for shadow. So you're gonna lift the shadows until the blue goes away. Okay, most of it. So same thing here. You're in white, so you're gonna blow out the highlight, right? So you're gonna come back in the highlights. You're gonna bring it back down. Okay, and there's your J trick before and after. All right, very simple, but if you like, that a bit more contrasted look, it's definitely it's definitely the way to go if you like that more contrasted look. Okay, so all right, so gonna kind of blast through the rest of this right now. So okay, so right here, I don't have an anchor image for this photo, so I'm gonna show you how I do this without an anchor image. So again, my cheating presets over here, they're custom made right here and all soft. Okay, so right there, I'm gonna bump the exposure just a tad. And just fun shooting film. I know this is a tad too green, and so I'm gonna bump the magenta just a little bit to kill that green right there, and maybe just a tad too warm for Fuji. So I'm gonna bring that down just a little bit, just a little more exposure right here. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so so you can see if you shoot it correctly. So this one I shot it. So I brought it up by half a stop. I went from white balance from 6,000 down to 5678. So I mean that's just kind of personal preference. If I keep it at 6,000, that's still fine right there. But I just personally like to cool it down just a tad. Yeah, somewhere in there. So okay, this one for the image I turned over to the client, I actually cloned out this sign right here, but you get the idea. So this is a very pleasant skin tone, and then I love this little moment here. So all right, So okay, so indoor reception photos. Yeah, that's Ponte. Sorry, getting coffee right here. Okay, so this is the at the Viviana in downtown LA. About 350 people wedding, huge wedding, really elaborate wedding. So okay, so this one again, I shot 6,000. This is just straight on the camera. It's a long exposure. I shot a f/22, 8 seconds, ISO 200, 24 millimeter. Okay, so that's kind of my setting for big room shots. And the reason why it's 8 second is because there. I honestly ran out of time. People, I mean, I didn't have time to shoot it. People still in there, so it kind of blurred out a little bit, so you can't really, it's less noticeable. So okay, so in a room like this, again, I know what white is. Okay, I know this tablecloth is white. I know this floor is white. Okay, even though there's a lot of ambient light that's changing to like orange and amber color. Okay. So you go right here, then you go, you can go pick your target neutral. So like, again, I'll show you the before and after. There's a huge difference before and after. So okay, so right here, I just go and pick something right here, and now give me kind of a base to go from. So now, if I were shooting this in real life in film, I'll probably do Portra 800 because we're indoors. I had to put on a tripod. So this one, I'll apply the Portra 800. Let's try 800 all hard. See what that looks like. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. So now after I apply Portra 800, it looks a little cool now because you start to see a lot of this blue tone shadow coming in right here. So I'm gonna just bump it up just a tad. So right there, and that's it. And that's what I'll turn over to the client. Okay, now there's a huge difference between a before and after photo. Okay. Yeah, there's really not a lot. Just you don't have to over mess with the photo. It's the presets work. You just had to shoot it correctly, and 2-3 clicks, and you're pretty much done. So I'm gonna do the same thing one more time here. I'm gonna find the sweet white balance spot. So I'm gonna do it just by eye, just for the heck of it. So I'm gonna kind of right here. That's kind of what I like right here. And I'll go Portra 800 all hard. And Portra 800 is a very warm film stock, so you can see even got just a tad warmer than what I would usually like. So I'll bring it down just a tad. So right there, and that I'm done. And that was literally a 2-second edit. Okay, so here is the dancing photo. Okay, so this one I was dragging my hey guys, I'm reading your questions, but I want to go through the editing, then I'll go through to the questions. Okay, sorry about that. I know I said 1 hour, so we're coming up 50 minutes here. So okay, so this is a dancing photo. For dancing photo, I typically like to drag my shutter and just kind of get some ambient light in there. I love to just keep my subjects in focus and then but background blurry, and also the light. Love the little twinkle lights they had. So this one was actually shot at 7.1 1/15th of a second. So this one, again, if I was shooting this in real life in film, I'd probably use Portra 800 because low light. I'll do that, and I'll bring down the exposure just a tad, kind of blown right here. So that literally is it. I will turn that over to a client. Okay, and I'll go right here to the next one. So this one on my blog, I did it as a black and white. I just kind of love how moody it was. So let's go Delta 3200. Where is this? Okay, Delta 3200 medium format. Let's go shadow soft so I can bring some of that detail back. And that's it. I probably bump it up just a tad. And that's it. That's what I would turn over to a client. Okay. Okay. So just we already did the your first here, so I'll go skip to the next one. So so this is the question earlier. This is what I did without an anchor image. Okay, so I shot it, but I'm still waiting for the film to come back from the fine lab. I just sent it in I think yesterday. This wedding was last weekend. So I'll do Fuji 400 all soft, and I'll bump up the exposure just a tad, and I'll do white balance just a little bit, and that really is it. That's what I would turn. That's what I think that's what I posted as a sneak preview. Okay, and then let me just show you the difference. That's before and after. Okay, and here, so this is obviously it's getting late in the day, so I'm kind of losing light. So I actually shot Portrait 800 for this series of their portraits. So the same thing I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna apply Portrait 800 all hard. Hey, Ashley, we actually covered that right in the beginning. So I'll go back. I'll go back at the end. So right here, apply Portrait 800 all hard. I'm going to bring up the exposure a little bit, but it's a little too warm for me. So I'm going to bring down the white balance just a tad, and right there, that's what I would turn over to the client. Okay, cake. Yeah, very elaborate cake. So white balance trick. I found my sweet spot for my white balance right here. Here's your before and after. So find my sweet spot right here. And I'll go ahead and apply this one again. I probably will shot it with Portrait 800, indoor reception. So apply Portrait 800 all hard. Right there. Okay, so yeah, I'm done. Again, because you can see, I'm only at plus 0.15, and that's because I'm just being anal about it. Even if I zeroed it out, most people will probably think that will be okay, but I just so I just bump it just a tad right there. So shooting correctly in camera, again, is the key. Hey, actually, no problem. All right, so last one I want to show you is kind of OCF setup. Yes, I do off-camera flash. It's a shocker. So this is the first dance. I love the setup. The off-camera flash is actually behind the groom's head, so it's kind of like the rim light around his head. And I have an onboard flash as a fill on this image. So again, I'll go back Portrait 800 all hard. Super warm is just kind of the nature of the stock. So I'm gonna go back and kind of tone it down just a tad. And maybe bump up just a little bit right here. And what were you guys here? And that's it. So before and after. Here we go. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much all the editing that I have planned for you guys. I'm gonna go through the questions right now. Whoa. Okay. Let me stop screen share here. Cancel. Okay. Okay. Here I'm back. So hey. All right. So I'm gonna go through the questions right now. Just kind of knock it out. Will this webinar be available for us to watch again? Yes, it will be available on YouTube, and I'll post a link later. Hi, here's sound. Okay, I think that we got done. The macro lens is that 100mm L or regular? That is regular. I don't have a 100mm L. Okay. Has so many workshops, and every single workshop they just told me to set your white balance automatic. No, don't. No. Just no. Shoot everything manual. Okay. And this is kind of a philosophical discussion you're gonna have to have with yourself. So yes, you can change it later in camera, but I can't. You can change it later in post, but I can't tell you how many people I've had this discussion with where they say it made editing so much faster when they shoot in manual white balance. And I'll tell you why. Because when you say your white balance on auto, your camera is basically looking for different colors in your scene, right? In order to balance it out. So if somebody accidentally walks in with a green shirt on, or if somebody turns the body a certain way, the light's hitting different, your white balance is gonna change. So, but in reality, they're still all staying in the same spot. So why change it? I guess just try it. Try shoot a manual white balance. It will really speed up the editing. I just ask you just try it. It will really speed up your editing, and you will really make it much faster and a much easier editing process for you. Okay, and I talked about this a few times in the group already, but during the day I use white balance 6000. That's kind of my starting point, And if you're in a shadow, bump it to 6700. And if you're in a mixed lighting situation, go from like 48 to 5200. That's kind of where the white balance should be. Okay, so when you rate, you're adjusting the ISO on the camera to 100 instead of 400 like the Fuji. Oh, I think you mean film. Oh, so yeah, so for film, it's the light meter. I don't adjust the camera. I don't adjust anything on the camera other than the shutter speed. So it's the 400 rated at 100 is actually use the light meter. So light meter I rated at 100. Do you recommend starting with 35 millimeter camera? I started with 35 millimeter camera. I got used to it. I got used to a look. I got used to not being able to see my photos. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of people had to jump through. Just give up the comfort of being able to see the photos right away. And you can't really get used to shooting film unless you can get over the fear of not being able to see a photo. So yeah, I would definitely recommend start with 35 millimeter film. Just get used to it and then jump to medium format. Okay. Steve Weldon, just on rating my film, Fuji always rated at 100 regardless of the amount of available light. So I rated at 100 until there's just not enough light. Then I switch to portrait or I switch to digital. But there's a certain look I like in my portraits, and that I know I have to rate at 100. And if my shutter speed gets lower than like 1/60th of a second, that's kind of my cutoff. I'll go to digital. So, Courtney Linsky, have you always edited with the film look even before Kirk's presets? Yes, I did actually. I've always been attracted to film look. Ever since I started my career about 6 years ago, I've always just followed film photographers, and that's just a look I try to emulate. It was not until Mastin presets where I finally dialed in my look. Okay, and I was you guys probably don't know this, but I was actually one of the earlier beta testers for Mastin Labs. I started using it about a year before everybody else did, while Kirk was still trying to dial it in. So yeah, so my clients really didn't, it didn't really bother my clients at all. If anything, it actually helps. Okay, Yuri, the photo on the left, the Chinese couple walking, you don't see the background here. I know it's because of the lighting, but how do you tell this to your client? I had the same, and people were. Oh, okay. So I think you're talking about when I'm metering for the shadow. Basically, if they're backlighting, the backgrounds blow out. So if you go to my website, that's a stylistic decision I've made for my photos. Okay, and my clients book me knowing that walking in. So I don't get clients coming and say, well, hey, how come the sky's not this dramatic deep blue, or how come you're not doing an HDR look for the sky? Well, because I'm not. That's just not my style. So you have to be very consistent with what you showcase on your website and kind of talk to your client about, the photos that you do when they hire you. Then you can avoid all the problem. Okay, so you press the number 2 to make a lock screen. Kylie Robledo, yes, the number 2, yes. What do you, Kylie again? What do you think is the benefit to adding grain to digital photos? I don't notice a huge difference when it's added. So film, everything about film is about subtlety. Okay, so you're not gonna add such a huge amount of grain to your photos where you're gonna look at it and say, oh my God, it's grainy. Everything's very subtle. Even film photos, unless you really zoom in there, it's not as grainy as people think it is. Again, you just have to with the matching, and I love I don't actually like the super clean, super sharp look. I know that was kind of in a few years ago when another preset company came out with a Magic Sharp or whatever it was called, and then a very popular photographer started using it, and everybody started following it. So everything was super sharp. I'm not a fan of that actually, and I love the grain. So again, embrace the grain. So next one, Jenny Austinson. Would you deliver both images to a client with carpet and not the same color? In the final gallery, when I deliver the image I show, I actually turn to black and white. Again, I shot that most of that scene actually in film. There's 1 or 2 photos where I'm in the middle of changing film, and the client started doing something. So I just grab my digital camera. I usually have a film on my side, on my right, and digital on my left. So in the process of switching film, getting film from my assistant, a client, something happening, so I grab my camera, my digital, start shooting with the digital. So, but most of the scene was shot in film. Okay, Mario Coley, what kind of metering mode do I use in digital? Spot metering. Okay. Do I set up my clients for shots I put on their shoes? Oh, do they naturally do that? Allison Gonzalez. No, it's definitely set up. So my genre will be more like fine art photography, which means I want everything to look really pretty. So I definitely pose my clients. I tell them how to put their shoes on. I tell them down to how they interlace their fingers, the angle of the body. I pose everything for them. Okay, when metering 35mm film, I use a Canon EOS 1V for 35mm film. This is from Justin. Hey, Justin. I actually use my in-camera meter for 35mm, and it's pretty damn accurate. Do I apply sharpening? No. The only thing I do is when I export, it's I think Lightroom the automatic preset is sharpen for printing, and that's the only thing I do. I don't sharpen photos other than that. Okay, Tara Wiley, can you explain, like I'm a 5-year-old, what do you mean when you say you rate film? um, um, so each film stock has different film speed. So your film speed is like your ISO. Okay, so like you see portrait Fuji 400, Ektar, Delta 3200. The 400 is basically your ISO. Okay, 3200 is your ISO. So I'm rating film at a speed that's not the same as what the box is telling me to. Okay, is that a 5-year-old? So anyway, so I'm rating the film the way I wanted to rate it. So for example, if I get Fuji 400, I'm rating it at 100 because I know that gets me the amount of light that I want. Okay, hope that was good. Jessica Roberts, can you tell us what lens correction is doing? Looks like it's bumping exposure. It's not. So basically, your lens, it has the natural vignetting around the corners. So when you apply the lens correction, it's actually making the corners brighter because it's taken with the vignetting. So it's not really they make it brighter. It just takes it's taken with the vignetting. It looks brighter, but it's not. It's just kind of what you get if it's like a perfectly flat image. That's what it's doing. Okay. Yenny Flores, what do you mean by rate? I just covered that. Yes, that means ISO. Lucy Chestnut, do you always use the lens correction? Yes, I do. Desiree Gardner, matching grain. I've heard Lightroom is not ideal for matching grain and have been told Alien Skin's better. Is it true? I've not used Alien Skin, but I trust Kirk. If Kirk tells me it's good, it's good. So that's kind of my answer. And I think Kirk's presets really matches grain really, really well. He talked about this in one of his videos that unless Lightroom has like 4 sliders for grain, I think. So unless he has more options, that's as close as you're gonna get. I spot meter for the shadow. Tara Wiley asked, do you spot meter off the skin or the shadow? So when you meter, usually it's like right here. So I put my spot meter in right here. But again, I kind of just know what I like. So I look at when I shoot in digital, I check the LCD. But if I'm metering, I'm definitely metering right in front of the chest right here. So let's say the light's coming from the back, I'm metering right in front of the chest. Okay. Raina Shelton, can you please edit a family portrait outside? Post it in the group and tag me. I'll do one. Okay. How many film image versus digital do you deliver to a client on a wedding day? Well, on a typical wedding day, I shoot about 10 to 15 rolls of film. So basically, the majority of what you see on my blog is going to be shot on film. And I would say I typically deliver maybe 150 shots of film to my clients. And I only deliver, let's say 8-hour day, I'm right around like 700 photos. So what is that? 20 to 30% of photos. This will be Joanne Forrest. This will be available on YouTube afterwards. Okay, Michael Rochin, do you always shoot wide open? Do you have aperture rules that you always follow? 1.6. every day, twice on Sunday, 1.6. Even group photos, a lot of time we shoot 1.6. I just love that aperture. I love that depth. Like 1.6 is like my sweet spot. Even group photos, if they're standing in the same plane, you can shoot at 1.6 all day. I can shoot 100 people at 1.6 as long as they're in the same plane. Everybody in focus. Okay, so that's just kind of what I do. Walter Melas, I'm sorry. Tips for digital shooters only: exposure in camera and use of Mastin presets. So I covered it during the presentation. 2/3. You should go no more than 2/3 over the exposure. Okay. Nicole Rosado, when shooting digital, do you shoot in Kelvin for what? So it's custom white balance. Yes, I shoot in custom white balance. I start with 6,000. That's kind of my base point. How would you clone out a sign? Very careful. Yeah, that's not part of the editing questions, but if there's you can send it, so you can outsource it, or you can just do it in Photoshop. It's pretty easy. Okay. When you use spot metering and metering for shadows, how do you check for blown out highlights? Do you have the red highlights warning? No, Jessica Roberts asked, how do I know when it's blown out? I just kind of know. By looking at the LCD, I just kind of know what's blown out. I don't turn on the red highlight. It's really distracting to see red blinking. I just kind of train my eyes to see it. Do you sharpen at all? Melissa Bradley, that was covered earlier. No, I don't. Except when it's printing, it's exporting, it's sharpen for printing. Does it matter if you make the Lightroom adjustment first? So Heather Shermer, does it matter if you make the Lightroom adjustment first or if you select the presets first? Okay, so that's actually a very good question. So if you're not shooting correctly in camera, yes, you do have to adjust your exposure and white balance first. But if you're shooting correctly in camera, just go and apply the presets. I've gotten to a point where I can just go and apply the presets when I get home, and I know they will be 99% dialed in. Okay. Okay. So Jessica Roberts again. My reception dancing image looks like you may be holding the camera above your head for a fun angle. What is your focus? Okay, I'll cover real quick, but that's not part of the editing questions. That's why I show f9 when I shoot reception photos. So it's pretty much infinite focus when I'm at that distance to the subject. There's a trick I use, but that I'll cover that in another webinar. But it's not because it's not web editing related. Sorry. For reception photos, it's 24 millimeter. Brennan Bill. Sorry, 24 millimeter. Have you ever tried a Sigma R lens? I don't have a Canon sponsorship. Powell, I'm sorry. I wish, but no, I don't. But I've not tried it. I've tried Sigma R lens for my second shooter, but I don't own one. What light modifier? I don't use any light modifier. It's just a bare bulb flash on the stick. Nathan Wingate, if you were just getting the film, what are some of the best film cameras to start with? Ask that in the group. They're 35 millimeter cameras. They're super cheap to start with, but ask that in the group. When you meter for digital, do you meter off skin or the dress? When you meter for digital, I make sure there's no blown out detail on the dress. So hope that answered. Nathan wants to know how we can get that shirt. talk to Kirk Mastin. What are your manual settings when shooting? Oh god, that's Tara Robbins. What are my manual settings for shooting? That the aperture is usually 1.6 all the time. Shutter speed it all depends on the lighting situation, but I can tell my aperture is probably 1.6 most of the day. DNG or CR2? CR2, Tara. Do you apply presets first before adjusting anything else? So sorry, I can't say that, but I answered this earlier. How to explain to your client the benefit of hiring a hybrid photographer? So Nicole, well, I'll cover that in the group. Go and ask that question in the group, Nicole Rosado. How do you explain to your clients the benefit of hiring a hybrid photographer? I have a very simple line. I tell them, but I don't. It's not something I oversell on because it's no guarantee I'll shoot film at their wedding. Like, it just depends on if I have enough time, if the lighting's correct. So it's not something I guarantee them. Okay, sorry guys, I'm almost wrapping up, just kind of blasting through the questions here. Allison Gonzalez, do I ever have a client ask for black and white photo in color? Yes, I do. Yes. And if it's film, I told him no way. But if it's color, yes, I'll gladly change it back. Uh, Nicole Rosado, we can get that shirt. Ask Kirk. So Mario Cully, how many images do I typically deliver to a client? I covered that earlier. Faith Allen, when you rate, are you physically putting the ISO on a 35 millimeter camera to 100 and not on a 400? On a 35 millimeter camera, yes, I set it in camera. Tell them what ISO I want to set it at. Okay. What metering device do I use? It's Sekonic L35. Emily Johnson, what metering device do you use? Is it Sekonic L358? I think. Yeah, the 35. It's an old school one. Okay, I struggle with focusing with film. Okay. Well, it's just something you have to get kind of used to manual focusing. But shoot kids and probably at 4.0. I'm the wrong guy to ask for shooting family. I don't really shoot all family photos. I shoot couples, grown up couples where they can actually stand there and pose for me. So, but yeah, if you're shooting kids, I'd probably say at 4.0. Do you always meter for shadows? Yes. And if you so, do you go one stop over on the spot or one stop under? Polly wants to know. Again, meter for the shadows, but never go 2/3 over what your meter is telling you, because you have to dial that back down anyways. And if you overexpose, bring it back down, your color is gonna start shifting. So just don't go over two-thirds of a stop. Unless you're backlighting, you want to go one stop to 1.5 stop over. Okay. Lauren Martin, how do you meter and what white balance do you use for reception? If it's mixed lighting, I learned it from a videographer, 5200. That's where you start. And meter, I'm not sure what you mean by metering. Just as long as you don't blow out any highlights. I don't know what for reception. If you have a spotlight on the couple, yeah, I just make sure I don't blow out what's important in the scene. So just that in that case, I'll probably be metering for the highlight. How do you get peachy skin tones? Joe Bradbury wants to know. That's a fine laugh question. You ask him. I just told him that's what I wanted to give it to me. Elizabeth Harper, do you ever edit eye skin? Very rarely, but I do. You'd be surprised with good lighting and good lighting in general how good of your skin can look. But if the client specifically requests that, I'll do it for like albums. If they order large prints, I'll do it. Poly Gill, do you use back button focus? Yes, that'll change your life. If you're not doing that, do back focus. That'll change your life. Mario Cully, when you export photos from Lightroom, they seem to be a little different. No, I don't. I haven't noticed that. Okay, Polly wants to know, Polly Gill, what's the best lighting meter to use? I have used the Sekonic L358. I'll double check on the number, but I think that's what it is. The Sekonic L358. It's an old school one. Do you have any specific light to work with? Do you have any specific light you look for to work with the presets? Backlit, side lit, open shade. Powell wants to know. It basically works in any kind of condition. My favorite is backlighting, obviously. And really soft, like right before the sunset, that kind of light is the best lighting for me. But preset works for any kind of lighting situation. Do I avoid film for portraits on overcast, gloomy sky? No, I think it's fine. Jessica Roberts is asking, do you avoid film for portraits on overcast, gloomy skies? Not really. I think it works. But you might want to use portrait in that case because it gives a more warmer undertone. Okay. Anthony Allegado, what do you mean when you sharpen for print? Because when exporting, they have the matte and glossy paper option. No, it's when you export in the export dialog, it actually asks sharpening that you want. I think there's an option in sharpening for screen. I'll double check on that. How do you get sharp images 1.6? Andreas, everybody asks me that. I don't know. I've been shooting 1.6 for like 6 years now, so I just kind of got used to. it. I don't know. I don't, everybody asks me that. Somebody actually say I have a magic 1.6 lens. I mean, it's a 1.2 lens. No, it's the same as everybody else. I just kind of got used to it. If you're shooting 1.6, what do you put it at if a group isn't on the same plane to get them all in focus? Well, you try to get your group in the same plane before you shoot. But if not, I just focus on the bride or the group, whoever's in the middle. But usually they are in the same plane before I take the shot. Okay. When you shoot the details and lay flats, do you stand on something to get a total straight down view polygon? So yes, I usually put the details on a table, and I stay on a chair next to a table and shoot it straight down. You don't want tilting because that distorts it. Or just get like a paper, like a tablecloth that they have at weddings, put it on the floor, just shoot straight down, just to make sure it's all in the shadow. Okay. Poly, do you use zoom lens as well as fixed? I mainly use the 50 millimeter, 1.6. I do use some zoom lenses like the 2470, but very rarely. My second shooter is usually the one that gets all the tight shots for me. Okay. All right, we just clear out all the questions. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll post a link. I think this is on YouTube. I was gonna wait a month to post the link, but I think I'm gonna go and post the link now, so everybody can go on there and take a look later if you weren't able to join us right now. All right. Last question, Mario. Do you deliver albums? I use Cypress albums. Cypress albums out of Los Angeles. Yes, I do deliver albums. All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. And ask Bert Kirk for this shirt right here. All right, I'll see you guys. I have another broadcast on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, I'll see you guys then. Talk to you later.